Am I live? I'm live. Hi. Hello. Hank's not here yet. I hope you can hear me. All the usual caveats. Hello. Wait, now I have to mute myself. Okay. Yeah. Hi. I'm sure Hank will be here soon. Let's not worry about him. Let's assume that everything's fine. I hope we find you all I was going to say well, but maybe that's a little ambitious. I'm really glad that you're here with us, and really grateful to you for being here, and really excited for Hank's book to come out tomorrow. It's a big, trying to get those lights out of the shot. You know what? I'm going to try to turn off those lights on my phone. This is something that I've just been able to do. It doesn't mean I can do it every time. It doesn't mean I'm going to succeed, but there is a way to do it now. That would be the niche cans? No. The cans? No. Hold on. You guys got to believe in me. Bar cans? Nope. Okay. Maybe I can't turn them off. All right. We just ignore me. Why am I even doing this? Why? This is the worst thing I've ever spent money on in my life, which is really saying something because I've spent some really stupid money. Okay, you can't turn off the lights, apparently, behind me. Those are the only ones in this room that don't turn off. They're the only ones I ever need to turn off. Oh, they did turn off for a second? Dang it! It worked! Oh, no! Well, now I've got to figure out which one. Now I'm committed. All right, it's not that one. No, that's the wrong thing. No. No. Hank's going to come here and he's going to be like, what the hell is going on?
What the hell's going on?
Hank, I'm trying to figure out how to... Oh! It's the niche cans!
It's the niche cans, everybody!
I had to turn off those lights. They were really annoying. And now everybody's going to have a much better live stream experience.
I'm confused.
I have on my phone, I can now turn off some of the lights in this room so that I can try to get the right lighting for, making
fancy dancy, John.
Yeah, what are you eating and drinking there?
That's an Nalgene full of watered down Gatorade.
Oh,
I don't like things to be too sweet anymore.
I've been exercising a little more. So I don't know where you're at with this, but where I'm at is it's time for me to transition away from my short-term crisis coping mechanisms, which are effective, but have bad long-term consequences. And find the long-term coping mechanisms that I'm going to need for what is apparently going to be a long-term problem. And we can do this, and we will make it through the other side of it. And it will. And when we do, God, I will spend the rest of my life feeling grateful. I really will.
Never again will I feel like, God, this day sucks. I will think every day is good.
No, lots of days will suck, but I will never stop being grateful for like the chance to go to the grocery store. Like I honestly, I genuinely believe that for the rest of my life, if I ever have another like visit to the grocery store that is not stressful, I genuinely believe I will feel grateful for that.
I think you're right. I think you're right, and I think that will hopefully be true of a lot of people. And I was at this store today, and I was looking at people who weren't wearing masks, and I was thinking, should John and I try and create the lowest possible cost shirt that is just a short explanation of why masks are important, and then sell it for like $5 a piece?
Or sell it for $25 and have all of the money go to the places where COVID-19 is sentence, because there's no supplemental oxygen available, and not wearing. I mean, there's a lot of things that frustrate me about the current situation, but one of the things that frustrates me about the current situation is the lack of empathy that's involved.
It's amazing.
But the lack of empathy it's structural. like our power structures are designed to make us not pay attention to the vulnerabilities of the vulnerable. And there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of reasons for that.
I
But
mean, there are degrees of this, and I think that in general that is true of pretty much everyone, including myself. Like that, it's hard to pay attention to the most vulnerable, in many ways that are cultural and that are structural. But there are also people who I just like, who appear to be I don't know. I don't know if it's a lack of empathy or if it's just a political division. And so people are sort of like everything needs to come down on political lines, and that includes whether or not you think this is a big deal until it becomes a big deal for you personally.
yeah,
And
yes. But I guess I am I am immensely frustrated by the like in the United States, this is this is a public health failure. This is not a failure of our healthcare delivery system. This is a failure of our public of public information. Like, and the bummer about that for me is that in the US led the way when it came to the biggest and most effective public health intervention in human history, which was getting hundreds of millions of people to stop smoking cigarettes, even though it is incredibly hard to stop smoking cigarettes. Like, it is physically, like, it is, as somebody who has quit smoking cigarettes and has gone from not
many times,
gone from not wearing a mask to wearing a mask, I can tell you it's a lot harder to quit smoking than it is to wear a mask.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just have had this huge failure. And like, there's also
the wild thing is that like you don't even have to, this is the equivalent of like you're allowed to smoke at home. Like you just can't, just can't go, you can't smoke in the grocery store. You can't smoke in the bar. You can't, well, you may not be able to go to the bar. Ideally.
Oh yeah, don't smoke inside the airport. That's what you're saying. You're saying don't smoke in the airport,
in the airplane.
Don't smoke in the grocery store, don't smoke on a plane. That's what you're saying. But, so like there's a lot that goes into these failures of public health, and one thing is that our information feeds, as is explored so beautifully in your book, have become so fractured and so ultimately unreliable. Like, it's true. Like, people, like, it's true that our information feeds are unreliable. It's true that we can't trust the information that we see in our information feeds, and it's true that that makes it hard for us to like sort which information is trustworthy and which isn't. And I think that's really deep, and I think that in that sense, this is striking at the worst possible moment, or one of the worst moments. And in fact, like probably part of the reason it's happening on the scale that it's happening is because of that lack of trust in our information feeds. Like, we might have been able to get it under control if things had been a little different. But the other thing I think is that people love, like, there's a certain group kind of person right now who loves edgelording and loves Pepe the Frog and loves like, and doesn't care, and kind of loves seeing things fall apart. Like, thinks that the movie The Joker is about a hero.
Yeah, and only because they've never actually seen anything fall apart. It's like when it's like not your. When I was in high school and I was like upset that my family wasn't dysfunctional, you know, and I was like trying to come up with reasons or ways to like introduce drama into my life, and like this to me is a symptom of people not having a source of meaning, and so they are trying to find a source of meaning in crisis or in opposition to like normal like functional society and functional culture. And yeah, like it's really immature, and it's really boring. It's like it's super boring. It's like a really boring, like, can you imagine if like your form of like the thing you want to be an activist about is like people are trying too hard to help each other?
Yeah. Or like,
they're virtue signaling by like trying to help.
No, I mean, listen, I think that I understand some of those impulses. because I felt them myself. But like when you, it's that urge that you have when you're a kid to like have a hurricane hit, but not a hurricane that's really bad. You know, like
Yeah.
you want to live amid something big and dramatic. But in that story that you imagine for yourself, you don't imagine yourself being like a dumbass who intentionally like gets other people sick. Like you don't.
Yeah.
That's the part that I struggle with. But let's move on because I think that there's literally nobody watching this who disagrees with us. And if there are, listen, I'm happy to talk to you about it and try to make the case one-on-one. But what I actually don't think it works to like publicly shame people or to say that they're idiots.
No, yeah, that's why I was sitting in the store and I was thinking to myself, like, what would like I'm not wouldn't like walk up to this person with a card and be like, in Missoula we wear masks. I wouldn't like that wouldn't work. Being any kind of confrontational, handing them a mask, anything like that wouldn't work. But like very passive things that are like, if I wear a mask, I'm protecting you. If you're wearing a mask, you're protecting me. And like me includes veterans, it includes police officers, it includes all the people that you think matter in society, and also the ones you don't. So like just be considerate to those folks. And like I don't know what that message is, but I feel like there is a message there.
That's the message, but it has to be a public information campaign like the one that got people to quit smoking. That is the message. Yeah. It's just we can't make it.
Why can't we? Yeah, well, yeah, but why is the government doing that?
Do you want a one-word answer?
I have a one-word answer.
The one-word answer is correct. Like the United States is an uncommonly, especially when it comes to stuff like this, the United States is uncommonly dependent among democracies on its president. Like, you know, the especially in the last like 20 years, as increasingly we've put more and more power into this office, and more of our political energy goes toward thinking about the one person in the one office. Realistically, Congress can't pass a law that says you have to wear a mask. It's just not.
No, like I'm not even asking for that. Like yeah. I think the federal government should be making mandates to states. That's very hard to do. Like in an ideal world, that would be the case. What I'm really asking for is like clear, coherent messaging from the federal government. Masks are
that has to come from the executive branch of the government, which is not
and like it's so fucking easy. It doesn't cost any money. All it costs is like compromising and like not being antagonistic every moment. It's all it costs. I guess that's weakness.
Well, cometh the hour, cometh the wrong man. The U.S. and Brazil and a few other places are in the mess that they are in largely because of a political failure. And we will, you know, I mean, hopefully, and that I think that will be, I think that will be the way that history remembers this. But you know, the bummer for me is that as is always the case with when history gets written, it doesn't tend to get written about the people who were most harmed. You know, because those people tend not to have voices, and they tend to be, in many cases, they tend to be dead. So you can't hear from them. We should really move on. We're halfway through our show, and we've done nothing but scream. We've done nothing but scream at each other, which is not what people need. It is not the look or the joy or the hope that people require in order to get through the day.
So you want to talk about TikTok then?
Not really. I don't really. I don't find TikTok. I now watch a lot of TikTok, and so I think about TikTok a lot. And mostly, what I think is that TikTok is like deeply uninteresting.
I don't know if I think that it is certainly uninteresting in many ways. But I think that it is, just by virtue of its 80 million downloads in America, is interesting in
no, I mean, it's interesting like macroeconomically. I don't think it's like I don't think that we'll look back on this period of history and be like, oh, thank God we put all of that energy into creating content that the Chinese government could monetize and use use to do all the wonderful things that they're doing.
Yeah. You want to talk about my book then? I
wanna answer
got a
questions.
USA Today review
Yep.
that
Hey,
I'm excited about.
I don't want to spoil tomorrow's video, which is mostly quotes, but yeah, the review in USA Today was great. I assume that the 166 people watching this are likely
Book buyers.
they're
Yeah.
they're likely won over. But I hope y'all like the book as much as I did. And if you have any questions, please leave them in comments, and we will try to answer some questions. I think we should move on to questions because I think that it's too much.
I agree.
Tony says, "Is there an update on the Turtles film?" No, I mean, I don't think it'll get made, but like, I mean, no movie is getting made right now. But I also don't think it'll get made when this is over. But I also like. On the third hand, I think that, not to like go back to this, but like I think that movie companies and content companies in general have dramatically underestimated the size and length of this challenge. So like most movie studios have been like, well, we're on hiatus for a couple months. And I'm like, you're going to have to reimagine your business model forever.
I mean, there will be a need for television and movies. And by television, I mean short movies that happen and there's like 12 of them or more. And movies, I mean, there's just one at a time. And I think that we'll figure out how to make them. But I also think that like there are lots of movies that can be made relatively safely. The big ones where like 200 people are on set is going to be a lot harder. So we'll see things coming out, and I think that Turtles would be relatively. I don't know how many people are on set usually in your experience when you've been filming your movies.
90.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I know.
It's ridiculous.
It's inconceivable that you could make a movie, even a $2 or $3 million movie, in a socially distanced world.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, you couldn't do any part of it.
I'm not saying that like it would be like a socially distanced world. I think that, come 2021, COVID tests will be very easy and readily available. And so you'll be able to test people every day. And
no, no, you won't.
Well, a movie studio would. Yeah. Like you pay for it, you get it.
No. Hank is extremely optimistic, and that's what I like about him.
I mean, like this compared to a lot of people's perspective on this is like way not optimistic. Weird thing is that so many people have been optimistic about this, and there's been this like sense that like America, we'll just figure it out. And I'm like, no. But tests, even like there are already circumstances where people are getting tested every day. Like obviously people in high level government are being tested every day, and that's
even
and it's getting easier and cheaper.
Yes, it will get easier and cheaper. There will be I mean, we don't have to get into the details of this, but there isn't an ability to create enough cotton swabs to do daily tests on a widespread percentage of the population, even on like 1% of the population. So like I mean, the issue is not like chemistry. The issue is the total size of the manufacturing of the world and what that manufacturing goes to. And like, there isn't much at the moment anyway. I mean, I guess we could like seize the means of production and use them to make cotton swabs, but at the moment that doesn't look likely to me.
Right. I mean that if you got a lot of money to spend, people will do your COVID tests for you. Like that. Ultimately, like there are private labs who already are set up to do that, where it's not about public health infrastructure, it's about like enabling business. Which do I feel good about that? Maybe not, but like I think that's how things will restart production.
And they'll put they'll put the whole crew in one hotel, and the crew will be its own island, and it'll work, and that'll start to happen at some point. But I think when they can make a movie, Turtles All the Way Down won't be like the first movie on their list to make. Like if I could, I mean, I think that so I don't know, maybe they'll make it someday. I am very happy, and I do not need a movie made from my books to feel happy, or indeed to feel happier. If they wanted to make the movie and I thought that it could do some good, I would want to make it. It's not something that I want for myself. Hank, are you going to write more books?
I have no idea. I don't know if I can. I've only done it twice, and so I don't know. I have ideas, but I'm busy. I've also got ideas for things to make that aren't books, and I am really excited about some of them. So I'm probably focusing on that right now. But like, I like writing books, and I think that it depends on a lot of different things.
I will have a book out next year, but don't tell anyone. And it's not a novel. It's a book of.
I knew this. I knew.
You're right, but I don't think the other people watching it did.
Well, when you said that, I was like, a novel, but yes.
No, but I will have a book of. Well, you can probably figure it out.
Yeah. I have been encouraged to not have my next book to be nonfiction.
To not have it be nonfiction?
Yes, I have been encouraged to have another novel next.
Well, I wrote 5 novels before I wrote a book of nonfiction, and I wrote that book of nonfiction over 3 years. So I don't know. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Why aren't there any book tours not in the middle of the night Europe time? Because we have jobs, unfortunately, and certain family obligations. And so the only time we could do it was between 7 and 9 p.m. We are sorry. Sarah asked about why fish don't exist, Lulu Miller's book, which is about eugenics and taxonomy and mental illness. And it's like the perfect episode of the Anthropocene Reviewed, magnified into a book by a far more talented writer than I. I loved it. I mean, I think I loved it for the same reason I love all of Lulu Miller's stuff on Invisibilia.
Rachel asks, if we had to rebook today's event, are we possibly eligible for a pin still? I think so. I think that that in the rebooking process, we haven't, I'm not entirely sure, but I think that we haven't reached 500 yet. And the first 500 people get pins just due to the lack of supply of pins. And so, but do I know that for sure? I do not. And I'm sorry. And I don't think that even initially we had any way of knowing, which is not my favorite way of doing any of this. If I had it to do over again, I would be more in charge and less like, obviously this transition where we had to refund everyone's tickets and rebook them was something that I was privately really frustrated about, but tried to be publicly just fine with. Because I wanted, it's just a weird, it's been a frustrating thing in general, I'm used to having more control over things. And oftentimes during this process, I have felt like that would have been better.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because like I've felt that way before, and there have been times certainly it's hard because there are lots of things that other people are better at than you, like much better at, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you need their expertise, and then there are times.
So loud. That's very close to your mic, whatever it is.
Okay, well I can't.
Oh, it's in the computer.
I can tell that you're mad, but I can't fix it.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's difficult when those things happen. I don't know that we've been on tours that we planned ourselves, Hank. You may not remember them, but I do, and we were not very good at it.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's very hard, I will say, but it is not necessary to introduce complexity in order to duplicate some unnecessary duplications inside of the old physical touring world. Like,
yes, no, absolutely. No, I mean that's about trying to support a variety of the
venues who are right now not having any way of being supported. Yeah,
but it adds a lot of layers of complexity for sure. Yeah. Did you see that the Bollywood Fault in Our Stars adaptation trailer came out today, Hank?
I saw that it did, but I haven't watched it.
I watched it. I have no idea. I mean, obviously, like it's well outside my areas of expertise on multiple levels. But I hope it's good and that people like it. But I have no idea. Obviously, I was very, very sad to hear that one of the lead actors of the movie passed away. That was heartbreaking, and yeah. So I hope that the people who see it like it. I don't know what else to say. Oh yeah, did you know that? I think Danny added Wallet Island to Google Maps. Thank you, Danny.
Oh, that was Danny.
Thanks. That made my day. Yeah. Is a book tour part of your job? Not really.
Sure it is.
No, I don't agree. I mean, you can make it part of your job. It is work.
I think it's part of the job of an author. Very few authors don't tour.
Well, I think it's part of your job if you're lucky. Like most authors don't. Most authors don't get to tour. And like there was a long period in my writing life where I didn't get to do public events because nobody would have come to them. So there wasn't any sense in scheduling them. Yeah. And so I mean, I think most authors see it as a privilege. I mean, obviously it comes with a lot of challenges too, but yeah, I guess I don't see it as part of the job because I don't see it as like a requirement of the job, but it is opportunity.
Yeah, I imagine that an author's job is part to write a book, part to revise a book, part to market a book. And that didn't used to be the case, but I think nowadays, like, and that can take 1,000 different forms, whether it's like, your Twitter account or doing guest spots on podcasts or doing book tours.
Yeah,
that all to me feels like part of the job now.
They did, for the record, they did not change the event because they wanted to charge more.
I'm surprised to hear that they are charging more. They should certainly
charge less.
Yeah,
but we didn't.
Fewer people splitting the money. Yeah.
But that at least that was not how it was explained to us. And I don't think that's what it is. Yeah. I do think that there are added costs in using Crowdcast that are really quite expensive. So I think that those costs are real. But yeah, it is true. Like authors. I mean, even when my first book came out in 2005, and I remember like back then they would send you a pamphlet, like a little, I don't know how to describe it. It was like a book, but it was smaller and it was like 8 pages long and it was black and white and it was literally stapled. Like there was like a marketing intern who like stapled them together.
Oh, okay, cool.
And it was like, here is what we will do to promote your book. Everything else you must do. But like there was no Twitter, there was no Reddit, there weren't very few podcasts. Like you had to like either like call up local media or like send out your own press releases via fax. And in those days, like you really were much more dependent upon support from the publisher. The thing is like publisher support still matters a tremendous amount. It's just that both you and I have a ton of it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And it's really interesting to see how that works and to have experienced it 2 times with like, very slightly differing amounts of that. But also having watched friends go through their own publishing process and be like, so is it normal for X? And I'm like, nothing is normal. And the way that they decide how they're gonna, and somebody recently asked me like, is it normal for them to care how many Twitter followers I have? And I was like, yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the weirdnesses. It's never been a meritocracy, to be clear. No. Like even when I started working, like I remember when I started working for Booklist back when like everything was faxed, not to totally date myself. Like we would receive handwritten reviews that I would have to like type into the computer. That's what things were like when I started working at Booklist. But back when I started working at Booklist, like even then there was this big trend of celebrity books. Like Madonna would write a picture book or whatever because Madonna could get on TV And
Yeah.
like Madonna could promote her book in a way that like the average author couldn't. And the joke was always that like every single time a celebrity would write a picture book, they'd be on TV and they'd be like, so what inspired you to write this book? And the celebrity would say, oh, I just couldn't find any books about blank. And it
Yeah.
would be the most like obvious children's book. Like I couldn't find any books about princesses who find their prince. I couldn't find any books about children who are angry because they had a bad day. I couldn't find any books about how much my mommy loves me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what I couldn't find any books that I made $5 of every time one sold.
That's what it really was, right? I couldn't find any books that like I made $5 for.
Not a single one of these books makes me $5.
By the way, do you make $5 a book? Because I
No, I don't. But I
Like,
assume Madonna gets a good deal.
$5.
Bringing a lot of marketing power.
Maybe. I don't know. I bet Madonna doesn't like
Yeah, nobody makes $5 a book.
I don't think anybody gets $5. I think
unless you're selling your own book. People who sell their own book might get $5, but they only sell, 1,000 of them.
or they sell tons of them, and but they have to do a bunch of stuff that I'm not good at.
It's amazing. Self-publishing is amazing, and really, like, then your job becomes everything. You're doing the logistics, and you're hiring the editor, and you're hiring the cover designer, and you're figuring out how Amazon works, and trying to.
Well, in a way, it's like
your own distribution and print on demand, and that.
In a way, it's like being a YouTuber. But
just like a very slow YouTuber.
In a world that's far more labyrinthine, and where the it's there are some things that are like it. Somebody asked a good question. Marina asked, "Would you work for Booklist now?" Yeah, I mean, I was both the best and the only job I ever had.
True. You've had other jobs, but not other
not other good ones.
Not other like with career possibility jobs.
Well, I've never. It's the only good job I've ever had, and I loved it. And I probably, honestly, if Sarah hadn't gotten into graduate school in 2005, I'd probably still work at Booklist, because there were a bunch of people who worked there while also writing novels, and I think I would have just kept writing novels and kept working there, and I've always had a day job, and I like having a day job, and I think I would still have a day job. In fact, I now still do have a day job. It's just this.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. I certainly don't write all day. I don't think that would work. Do you think you could just be an author, John, and that would be like the only thing you did? You think you could do that?
Yeah. Yes.
I don't think I could.
I would, and I probably will, if I'm lucky, enough to live long and have a, if I'm lucky enough to be midway through my life, like I expect that there will be a long period of time where I do just write. But that will be a period of time like after I need money, and like after my, kids are set, and after I feel like I've done what I can do in the other spaces where I work, like. Writing for me is like pure. It's not always fun. It's not joyful all the time. It's not pleasurable all the time. But it doesn't. It's never felt like work to me. And so I think like when I retire, whenever that is, I will still write. I hope.
It's definitely felt like work for me sometimes. Writing, not so much as revising.
Revising is work, and publishing is a lot of work. Like I will never publish again the way I published like The Fault in Our Stars and Turtles All the Way Down. Like I can't imagine going back to that like level of pressure and that level of like trying to make something for millions of people and understand, and having, the feeling that hundreds of people's jobs depend upon the performance of your work and all that stuff. I wouldn't want to go back to that, but I actually like revising. I mean, I love like tearing away at things.
I would like it if I didn't have deadlines. If I had time to do it at my own pace, I think I would like it. But I didn't like it.
Right. I mean, I've never had deadlines like the one that you just lived through, because I just blow through them, and I'm just like, whatever. It ain't done.
Yeah. I didn't have that luxury, because I don't know, the
The calendar gets a little crowded after July of 2020.
Yes, I totally understand that you don't have that luxury on a lot of levels. Lorena asks, do you guys think it's funny when people think you're the same person? I think it's great. Like it kind of doubles it doubles my
like overall career output.
Yeah, totally. And like the way people think about me is like twice as impressive, you know? Like,
not only have I done all the things John Green has done, which is plenty.
Right. No, I always like people on TikTok. I am frequently tagged in videos that are designated for you that are like, explain this scientific phenomenon. And I'm like, I'm not going to explain that scientific phenomenon because I'd ruin your wonderful illusion.
I'm not going to tell you. Yeah, I see lots of tweets that are like, today, like I was today years old when I found out. Which is great. I have no issue with that, and I understand it. Yeah, and I am happy to be at the edge of people's awareness.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't want to be any closer to the center of U.S. pop culture. We have been very, I mean, on many levels, very, very fortunate. But one of the ways in which we've been fortunate is to be able to make stuff for a big audience without having to, like frequently interact with the larger misery sphere, like on YouTube and especially. Like we've been able to kind of carve out a corner and yeah, that's been nice.
Yeah.
Okay, we should probably.
All right, we got to make a podcast.
We always go long, but I felt like this time we had to go long because we spent the first 15 minutes screaming at you about something that isn't your fault.
Yeah.
So thank you for supporting our podcast. And we are sorry about screaming at you for 15 minutes about something that you didn't do.
Yeah.
We'll just
get better.
Yeah, it's just so hard not to feel overwhelmed with dread when you're in one of the countries that is handling this really poorly. So to the rest of you who are in similar situations, we wish you well and hope that you're able to stay safe. And thanks for being here with us.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, take care.
Goodbye.